Alrighty then. Let's let's get this party started, shall we? Let's do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. Time to ponder. Ponder with PJ, and we want to welcome you to this inaugural episode of what really is a remix, honestly, of the Pondering podcast. I am Pastor Joel Rissinger, and excited to have you with us. Thank you so much for taking time to listen. We will have this as a live program eventually, and we're excited about that. Looking with you at some point in the near future. We'll give you details, and we'll also in a minute share details of how you can get in touch, share your thoughts, comments, ideas, even preferred live broadcast schedule, because hey, it's all about connecting with you. So what you want, that matters. But let me give you a quick introduction in case you've never heard Pondering. Pondering started as a radio program on the Life Changing Radio Network, I believe, initially. And then it was a podcast and broadcast on Facebook and other social media outlets, as well as Spreaker, which is our sponsoring platform right now. And what do we do in Pondering? Well, we ponder. That's deep. That's it. Okay, let's wrap it up. Play the closing music. No. We think about things, because I worked for a pastor years ago who used to say, think it through. Think it through. Don't just assume. Don't just go with the flow. Don't just, become woke or politically correct. I guess now we're woke. Before that, it was politically correct. Think it through. Where does this action, this idea, this concept, where does it lead? What's the end result? Is it what we want? Is it true? Is it good? If so, keep going, chase it. But if it's not true and evil and destructive, then don't chase it. And that seems obvious, but a lot of times we don't think things through. We go with the emotion of the moment. We go with the flow of culture. We're like lemmings dashing wildly up the hill, not realizing we're about to plummet to our death off the cliff at the top. And so we ponder, we think things through. We do so, though, from an unabashedly, unapologetically, unashamedly Christian perspective. And I'm a pastor, 30 years plus in vocational ministry, about another 10 before that as a volunteer, and doing various youth pastoring kind of roles for free. Also have about 10 or 12 years of business experience. I still own a small business, and I believe in the American way. I believe in our Constitution. I believe it was biblically based in large part by our founders, who were, for the most part, Christians. I'm a conservative. I'm not a party member. I haven't joined the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I am an independent, but very staunchly conservative, and a constitutionalist and a biblicist. I believe in the inerrancy of Scripture, and I try to discuss and look at world events, common current culture, current events from a biblical perspective, and talk about how our faith impacts what we think, say, and do, or how it should, at least. We do that on this show every single episode, regardless of what the primary topic might be. We're often looking at the daily news and discussing that. But sometimes we look at a scripture, talk about it. Not afraid to preach. I know, blasphemy, how dare we? But that's who I am. That's what we do, and we talk about it, and we share, and we love to hear from you. So let me tell you how you can do that even before we go live. You can email us, probably a couple different ways to do that. You can email rissingerjoel@yahoo.com. That's RISSINGERJOEL, no dots, dashes, or anything. By the way, that last name is like Kissinger with an R, and I tell people I have his nose, almost his name, but not his money. Kind of 2 out of 3. And I don't do foreign policy. I do talk about foreign policy, though, so I guess maybe I'm related that way. But you can email rissingerjoel@yahoo.com. You can also email Joel, Joel, at lifewaych.com. That's lifewaych.com. You can reach me on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. I have accounts there, just my name. At Joel Rissinger is the Twitter handle. You can call us. Our main number, where you can call 24/7, leave a message. Let us know if you want the message aired. We'll air it on the broadcast. If not, we'll just listen and respond. That number's 860-500-7163. 860-500-7163. You can text as well. The text number to make comments, suggestions, complaints, whatever it might be, funny jokes, memes, whatever you want to send me, 860-938-2725, 860-938-2725, and we love to hear from you. Once we're broadcasting live and you have access to that, and by the way, we'll be posting links to these podcasts on Facebook and Twitter and other places as well. You can also go to Spreaker, that's Spreaker, Spreaker.com, and you can find us there. We'll give you more info how to download their app too. You can get the Spreaker app on your phone, and then you can listen to these podcasts on demand, and I think you can listen live there as well. Once we give you the live schedule, we'll also have the chat room open, and we'll be maybe even taking phone calls at some point. We'll see how that all plays out. Just a couple philosophical thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this short podcast today, just to kind of introduce things. First of all, as I said, I think I've said this before, but I guess we should reiterate. We can disagree on this show. You can tell me you think I'm dead wrong. That's fine. We can disagree all day long. We just don't tolerate being disagreeable. And what do I mean by being disagreeable? I mean calling names. I mean imputing motives. I mean swearing. I mean those kinds of things. It just, that's just stupid. That's kindergarten stuff, or maybe junior high stuff. And we don't need it. If you want to have a logical conversation where two adults can disagree, that's fine. Happy to do it. But we don't yell and scream, call names, and impute motives and all that stuff. The other philosophical thing I would say is, I would encourage, if you do disagree, that you do it with facts. All too often, I think we as Americans have gotten suckered into this practice of letting our emotions rule, and that's not good. Our emotions are wonderful blessings at times, but they can also be a cursing. Meaning that the way I look at it is, think of a train. Back in the day of the old steam engines, right? You had the engine, you had the cars, you had the passenger cars, you had box cars, then you had at the back the caboose. And in the old days, the caboose was where people went to relax, look at the scenery, have a glass of brandy, whatever, right? The engineer would do that, others would do that. It was a wonderful place, but it wasn't driving the train. If the caboose is in front, you're in trouble, right? You're not going anywhere. It has to be at the back. And it will follow. It will follow the engine, which is what drives the thing and sets direction. And isn't that the way our minds should be? Scripture talks about that, being transformed by the renewal of our minds. And so I encourage us to think it through. I encourage us to get the facts. I encourage us to look at the details of things and formulate opinions and actions based on that, and our emotions will follow. We may not feel it at first. We may feel the opposite. There are times when the train goes around a corner, around a big curve. The caboose is way in the back, still looking at the mountains. The engine is now on a straight, flat into an open plain. Caboose doesn't see it. Caboose doesn't feel it, but the caboose has to follow it, and our emotions will follow. Ultimately, it may take time, but we have to base our decisions on what's true. And yes, we believe in absolute truth here. We're not postmodern. We don't believe that truth is relative. I have some relatives that are true, but they're some are not. Truth is not relative. It is relevant, though. And, I don't believe that I can decide that I don't believe in gravity and then float away. I can decide all day that I don't believe in gravity, but if I jump off the roof of my house, I'm going down. And that's what we call absolute truth. We do believe in that here, but we encourage you, if you're going to disagree, don't be disagreeable, and use logic, use facts, use reason. We're happy to look at that and consider it. And there might even be times where I would stand up and say, I was woo, like Fonzie in the old Happy Days series. I was wrong. Yes, I can say it. And that's cool. Totally cool here on the Pondering podcast and radio program. So those are some of the guiding principles. I guess I should tell you that because of my conservative beliefs, starting with Scripture, but then building out from there, I don't think there's a single thing that I agree with this current administration on. And I guess you probably should know that. You don't know where I'm coming from. I think Joe Biden got voted in for two reasons. One, people didn't look beneath the hood. They didn't consider what he stood for. They just said, he seems like a nice old guy. He's been around and, good old Uncle Joe. Let's take him. And Donald Trump's mean, and he tweets nasty things, and he says hurtful things, so we don't want him. And that's as deep as it went for most people. I also think there was fraud in the election, no doubt. I've seen Dinesh D'Souza's documentary, 2,000 Mules, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. No question there was fraud. Was the fraud large enough, large scale enough to determine the outcome? I don't know. In other words, even if they stopped all the fraud, would Joe Biden still have won? I don't think so, but I can't say for sure. It's hard for me to believe that a guy who never campaigned, stayed in his basement virtually the whole time, somehow, and a guy who's old and obviously showing signs of early dementia, that guy got more votes than Barack Obama at the height of his presidency. I just have a hard time believing that. But were those fraudulent votes the harvested ballots that were stuffed in at the last minute or in the middle of the night all around the country in the key states where the election was really decided based on the number of delegates that were representing those states and those cities? I don't know. I kind of think maybe, but can't say for sure. But between people's ignorance of what Joe Biden stood for, unwillingness to look at that, and then fraud, I think that's how he got in office. And I hope and pray we can resolve both of those things going forward. And just a quick overview, and we'll wrap up for today. Foreign policy, absolutely don't find a single thing I can agree with him on. His handling of the Ukraine situation, disaster. His handling of the Afghanistan withdrawal, a disaster. Never have we left people behind like we have here. Thousands of not only allies, Afghans who supported us and risked their lives for us, but even American citizens that we've left behind because of the way we botched the withdrawal and the evacuation. And we could go into depth on that if you want. Some broadcasts we probably will. His approach to Israel, our allies, his attempts to renegotiate the Iran nuclear deal so that they can have not only nuclear power, but nuclear weapons. I mean, to me, this is like if you're in an elevator and some guy's there and just the two of you, and he says, I'm going to shoot you or kill you and then take all your money. The last thing you're going to do is hand him a gun, right? Oh, here, I'm carrying. Why don't you take this and use this one? I mean, that's just absurd, right? You'd never do that. But that's what we're doing. Iran has stated repeatedly, their leadership, too, not just the rank and file, but the leadership has said their total objective is to kill and destroy Israel and the United States of America. And so those are people we want to give weapons to. I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but I think it's just pure evil, and I wouldn't support it. So, no matter how you slice foreign policy, there's just nothing there that we can jump on board with and say, Yahoo, this is great, wonderful. Domestically, financial, economic policy, I mean, hello, we're in a recession, we have massive inflation. We stopped drilling, or not stopped completely, but cut it way back. We stopped the pipeline. Now we're dependent where we were independent on energy. Now we're dependent again. And, of course, coinciding with that dependency was the Ukraine invasion and the cessation or reduction of oil flow because from Russia, which has hurt us more and made it worse. It's not the cause of gasoline going up $3 a gallon or more, but it is a factor. But it's something that could have been avoided if it was handled correctly. So economic policy of giving away everything free to certain folks, letting people, flow across the border, unchecked. I mean, would you open your house and windows and doors and just say, y'all come in? I had a lady years ago in our church who was late one week, and she apologized to me after the service. I said, don't worry about it. That happens. She goes, no, I would have been on time if it weren't for the robber. I said, what'd you say? She says, yeah, a guy broke in, but I stopped him. I told him it's not worth it. There's nothing left of any value. The last guy got all that. And she said, I told him I didn't want him to hurt himself crawling in the window. So we stood and talked for a while, and he left. I said, did you call the police? She said, oh, no, everybody's got to make a living somehow, kind of thing. Most of us wouldn't do that. At least she didn't bring him in and just let him look around the house to see if there was anything left of value. I'm glad for that. But most of us wouldn't feel comfortable, especially if we had small children, just letting a random person come in at night and wander through our house. And I think the same is true of the border. We know for a fact, absolute fact, that we've had gangbangers, child traffickers, terrorists, and others cross the border. We've caught some of them. Others we've sent back and then let them back in again. A couple of those have committed rape and murder. It's insane. Absolutely insane. The border states are struggling economically to take care of these people. They're shipping them around the country to other states, hoping they'll pick up the slack. It's just a mess. Domestic policy, foreign policy, economic policy, there's nothing. Obviously his stance on abortion on demand in all terms of the pregnancy, just evil. And there's no way as a Christian I can say, yeah, I'm behind that. Do I like Donald Trump's tweets? No. Do I think he handles everything appropriately in terms of his personal contact with people and making fun of people and stuff? No, it's not Christian. But did his policies work? Were they constitutional? Did he love this country? Did he believe in capitalism? Did he believe in, our constitutional republic? Yes. And therefore, I voted for him, and not just once, but twice. So, but that tells you where I'm at in terms of conservative. I'm not a Republican, but I am a conservative politically. I'm a biblicist theologically. I'm a biblical theologian. And I try to see everything through those eyes. And we'll talk from that perspective on each episode of Pondering. So in the meantime, get a hold of us. Email Joel at lifewaych.com. Call 860-500-7163. Text us, 860-938-2725. Let us know what you think over there, will you? And as soon as we get a set broadcast time and schedule, we'll let you know if you want to listen live and chat live while we're on the air. But you can chat off the air too. It's all good. So I think that wraps things. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Yes. All right. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yes. Wonderful. And we'll see you next time here on Pondering.